Greetings, WordPressers. In today's show, it's all about WordPress and 2024. Jakson here. Welcome to the channel once again. Back again. How you been? It's been a while. What have you been up to? I've been busy with WordPress as usual, and I thought what better way to kick off things again would be to have a little review of what's up and coming in WordPress this year, this 2024. Quite a lot by all accounts. Some predictions, some trends, some of my opinion, and the official roadmap, the releases, the actual stuff that we're going to see come to WordPress through the new versions throughout the year. So what I thought I'd do to begin with is just have a little look at where we're currently at. So these stats here on the W3 Tech's websites, reasonably sort of up to date. WordPress is now 43.1% of the entire World Wide Web. Stonking, wouldn't you say? We're going to dive into these stats a little bit later in a bit more detail. Also, this HubSpot article on their blog, look at some of these stats, 60,000 odd plugins in the directory now. 20,000 themes with free and premium. Mind-boggling stuff. I think it's safe to say that WordPress is still a pretty decent bet when it comes to a platform for building your website on. WordPress.org also had a ton of updates this past year. If we have a look at the showcase, TED, NASA, Rolling Stone, the New York Post. I mean, if ever you want to convince your client or company that WordPress is the platform, this definitely proves its point. But anyway, let's get back to the main topic. Happy New Year. It's WordPress 2024. Right then, first prediction of the day, a renewed focus on faster websites. Yeah, I know we've all been trying to build faster websites forever, but this is now an acute requirement for any website build for one reason and one reason only, which is Core Web Vitals. Now, if you don't know what Core Web Vitals are, this WP Rocket post will tell you all about it. We've got LCP, CLS, FID. If you don't know what that means, read the article. It ultimately means one thing, and it's how Google rates your site for speed. And especially relevant is the mobile speed. And if we have a look at this Page Speed Insight report, and yes, it's my site, by the way, a cheeky 98%. Thank you very much. What that looks like when you've got a uber optimized site. So why Core Web Vitals? One reason and one reason only is rankings. Google will rank you higher if you've got a faster website. Simple as that. And now clients know all about that. Clients want that. I mean, I get asked as a not asked it, like demanded it as a requirement. You know, and you can get 90% plus on Google page speed. It's now a given. And, you know, also it makes you look cool. But there is a huge bonus to faster websites, and it's pretty relevant in today's world. Faster websites means a greener internet. Faster sites, less code, smaller files. Smaller files equals less server power, equals less internet used to deliver that file to your device, equals less power used on your device. It's a massive win. Faster websites will get you ranked higher, and it will help drive down the energy that we use to run the internet. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Core Web Vitals will be the driver for faster websites because it's a commercial thing. But what a spin-off that we can actually save energy by making greener websites by just making them faster. And as a side note, it's a bit easy now with block themes. Watch out for a trend on this video. So my prediction is a new philosophy I'm calling the speed first approach. Now, we've had mobile first for ages and ages, although that's a little bit of a grey area these days, given that every app and website is mobile first in the sense that it looks great on mobile. But it's more about how much code you're using to actually deliver that page across the different devices. And if you use less code and it's not technically mobile first, who gives a monkeys? Kevin Powell, dear old Kev, has got a great article on this from a couple of months ago where he challenges the actual philosophy of mobile first as a thing in today's web creation processes. Anyway, bit of a tangent. 95 plus is super achievable, and that's before a cache plugin, and more about speed a little bit later on. The speed first approach for 2024, my first prediction. Number 2. So, shall we talk about AI? Huge in our space right now. Let's have a quick recap. End of 2022, 3.5, ChatGPT 3.5 released. Made some ripples by December. Some major headlines across everywhere. By the new year, major coverage across every media outlet and the online blogosphere. SEO gurus, content marketing gurus, all over it like a rash. And yes, indeed, it is a wonderful new tool for us all to use, and we should all be on it. In March, ChatGPT 4 released, and the blue touch paper was lit, and there was no turning back. AI was everywhere, all at once, all the time, and it's still going on that ridiculous upward trajectory. So what does it mean for us in the digital space, specifically in the WordPress space? Well, as it has been, it will continue to be for content marketing, for blogging and web copy and that kind of thing. And if you're not using it yet, you should be. And with a little bit of extra input, like learning how to prompt properly, perhaps training the AI on your own speaking tone, your own voice, that can change the whole picture, and that will only increase over time. There's stuff like chatbots, which are brilliant. If you've got a site that has documentation or info site where you can literally train the AI to be your website guide. User comes to the site, types in a question, bang, they got what they want, and they can go to where they want to on your site. Hugely impressive, wonderful functionality and user experience for your website visitors. And then we get on to things like the coding side of stuff. So code snippets, basic plugins, that sort of stuff, that's already happening and very useful and available in the WordPress space right now, specifically codewp.ai, probably out in front a little bit. You've got wpturbo.dev. wpcodebox.com is under a beta product at the moment. And of course, then there's ChatGPT itself, which is just brilliant for, spinning up a bit of code that, you may not necessarily want to write yourself. You kind of got to know a little bit about code to know if it works, but ultimately these tools are there now, they're here and now, they're only going to get better, and it's time for you to dive in if you haven't already. Then we've got things like code completion and code hinters. Going on to a big release at the beginning of last year, GitHub's Copilot. ViewSource YouTube channel did a great review and discussion on this a little while back. I'll link to that into the description. There's a couple of other apps. Pieces app is a new one on the block, and that looks pretty damn cool. Haven't had a chance to play with that one yet, but check out Kevin Powell's, my good boy Kev, as overview. The link is in the description. And then of course you've got the WordPress plugins themselves. There are tons now. The WordPress repository has now got more than double anything related to AI than it did have a year ago. You've got writing assistants, copy content, you've got images, chatbots, content strategies that can be spun up with the AI looking at your content and external factors and telling you what you should write about next on your blog. I mean, it's mind-blowing. We've got AI forms where you simply go, I'd like a form to blah, blah, blah. SEO. I mean, everything is AI connected, and it's only going to get better and better and better. Page builders, they're in the game on this. We've got Elementor, which is doing a pretty good job on their offering. Divi's in on the game. Spectra, Astra, they're kicking it out the park, and more about that later. So there's another big move was the sort of instant sites with AI. You put in a prompt and it, bang, you've got a site. Yeah, it's still kind of fledgling, and there is only sort of a few use cases for it, in the sense of like, it's got to be a fairly simple site that you want to begin with, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, you've got to, put in your own images afterwards, and you've got to, put it in your own text and all that sort of stuff. But as these things mature, I think it's going to be quite remarkable quite how much you can do prior to getting your hands dirty with a bit of coding or website building. So the big two players out in front is 10web.io and ZipWP. ZipWP tutorial coming soon on the channel. But hang on, if you were watching State of the Word back in December, you would have seen Mr. Mullenweg doing a little sneak peek on the WordPress project's own version of AI, which looks pretty cool. Obviously super basic demo at the moment. But the fact that they're on it is absolutely encouraging to see. So the prediction for AI in WordPress in general, it's only going to get bigger, it's only going to get better, it's only going to get faster, probably cheaper. When we get onto things like type your old URL into this input box, press a button, and it creates a brand new site based on perhaps a few preferences from your old site. That will happen in 2024, and I think that'll be huge. But the whole thing, everything in general, WordPress AI wise, is just, it's going bonkers. So watch this space. Let's reconvene in 1 year's time and see where we're at. Okay. Number 3 on my list for 2024, which is kind of a trend that I don't think really is a trend, but included it because I saw it, when I was researching this. I did see quite a few references to headless WordPress. Headless WordPress, where you use a different framework, a different front-end framework for the data that WordPress holds. And it has been bubbling for years and years and years. And I think for me, it felt like that it was being pushed for no particular reason, or maybe one reason for genuine WordPressers, and that was to make your site faster. Come back to that in a sec. But there is a use case, and that case is, moreover, if I'm a web development company and I use a front-end framework, Vue.js, Next.js, all that stuff, that's how I make my website, but I need a CMS to link to for the data, for the content management. That is still the only reason, in my view, why headless is still relative. Yeah, I mean, you could get sucked in and go, I want to see what it's like. There's no reason to now. The only reason to have headless, if you were WordPress all in, was because they could make your site a lot faster. Okay, security was another thing, but negligible in my view. But now that's not a thing. WordPress sites can be 95 plus on mobile with some careful building and development. So headless, trending, I don't think so. It'll always be there. It needs to be there for that use case as described before. But as a trend, I think it's run its course. It will always be there. One other interesting thing on the State of the Word in December was Matthias's introduction to a thing that they're calling the interactivity API. And this, by the looks of it, is kind of like WordPress's own version of headless. I'm not sure how it works here. I haven't sort of dived any deeper into it. But hell's bells, look at this wpmovies.dev demo, where you're clicking around and it's like, hang on, this feels like a pure JavaScript front end. I'm not quite sure how it works. Matthias was saying that this is all block theme based, which sounds remarkable. And I know that if it's got anything like the sort of features that he was alluding to on his presentation, if I'm going to get into headless, it's going to be the WordPress version. Okay, on to number 4 in my 2024 list, and that is what's going on with WordPress itself, the actual project, the upcoming releases, and what's going to be featured, what new functionality can we expect. Looking pretty good, if I might say so. There's 3 releases this year, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 26th of March, July 16, November 5. So 2024 is, in the WordPress roadmap, is phase 3 of the 4 phases of this new era of WordPress. And phase 3 is all about collaborations and workflows. Okay, what does that mean? Well, let's start with collaboration. So I suppose the most simplest way we could say this, we could put this, is that it's a bit like Google Docs. When you're sharing a Google Doc with someone and you can see someone typing, and there's that kind of like, and you can see on the screen here that that's kind of exactly what's happening. Yeah, I mean, going to be amazing for teams. And I think it could have a real use case for teaching, perhaps, when you're trying to teach people the block editor and you can see what they're doing and what have you, although you can do that on a screen share. But it looks cool. And I think it is cool. I'm not sure if it's for everyday WordPressers. It's not going to be the first thing you're going to look at when you get the new version. But, kudos, great for teams, great for teaching, perhaps. And you can test it now with a Gutenberg plugin if you want to. Okay, the second part of phase 3 is workflows. And this is huge by comparison, by the way. Right, let's start with the stuff that's happening with patterns. And if you don't know patterns, it's basically the sections and parts that you can sort of move around the website and do lots of groovy stuff with the block theme and full site editing. So the first one is swapping patterns. So this is like when you've got like a set of patterns that have the same content component that might have slightly different designs. So, like headline, picture, button that might swap. And look, you can see it here on the State of the Word presentation, how it's kind of like it's the same kind of thing with the same components in it that have completely kind of different layout designs. You can swap them without losing the content. I think that's going to be great. And then you've got variations at pattern level. This is cool because it's a bit like site style, like style variations. If you look at 2024 here, you can see you click on this one or that one and it changes the entire styles, colors, fonts, what have you. But it's going to be just for patterns, which is super cool because the user choose which style fits in their particular page or post or whatever it is they're creating without obviously getting too creative. So the third thing with patterns, and this is the big one for me, this I don't know if there's an official name for it, but I'm calling it the semi-locked pattern. And this for me is the biggie because it's where the design is locked and the user can only change the image, the text, etc., which is brilliant for keeping that consistency going, but still allowing the flexibility to the user themselves to be able to be as creative as we allow them to be. I mean, all three of the pattern things within this workflow part of phase 3, I think it's going to be just brilliant to keep sites locked down and consistency with design, but allowing flexibility for the users. Gutenberg Experiment is available on that as well if you install the Gutenberg plugin, but I've got a hack for that and I'll drop a card in when I've got that ready to show you, as you can do it now. Okay, moving on. This is quite a big one, and it was only briefly touched on again by Matthias in State of the Word. It was only really a sneak peek, but goodness me, custom fields, dynamic data in full site editing is huge. Essentially, like all the page builds I've been doing for years and years and years, we get to create a template in a block theme and can add dynamic text based on the data that's entered into a post or a page. I mean, it's a real game changer for full site editing and block theming. And it's, to get that, that level of alignment with what the page builders have been doing for years is refreshing at the least. So another thing that I picked up on at the State of the Word was this real commitment by the WordPress core team to actually always bear in mind speed. Speed, it's a big thing for me. Speedy websites it's almost part of the DNA now of the WordPress project, and it's great to see this at State of the Word. With every release, with every component created, it's all about not just keeping the same speed, but seeing if they can make it quicker. I mean, the editor experience alone is looking to be 2 times faster in 6.5. So yeah, the WordPress project's dedication to fast websites is something else, and I really dig it. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, last but by no means least, as Mr. Ventura did say at State of the Word, is something that's been on the cards for many a year. It's the WordPress admin interface. Can you believe it? It's been 10 years since it's had anything like a major overhaul. And even that wasn't major. This WP Beginners article, if you start scrolling through it, you can see the sort of the history, the evolution, as they call it, of the WordPress admin. And if you keep scrolling, you get to 2013, and you scroll past it, nothing's happened. Pretty much, yeah, there's customizers and there's all sorts of other little bits and pieces, but fundamentally this interface has not changed in 10 years. And, quite frankly, it just doesn't stack up to modern web experiences in respect to user admin panels or what have you. It's just rubbish. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I can use it with my eyes closed, and it will be sad to see it go, but it looks like the new vibe is to very much take the stuff that's been going on with the FSC editor interface and sort of incorporate that into all the other admin areas, which I think is great. There's also a mention of some possible customizations where you could have different menus, maybe that kind of thing. I'm not quite sure there, but it'll be great if you could customize the admin to each different project. Bonkers. Anyway, I can't wait for that. It's much needed, and it's going to be brilliant to present WordPress admin to clients and for them to go, hey, rather than, oh. Anyway, last wrap up on WordPress core roadmap and official releases stuff. Something else I picked up on the State of the Word was there's this general vibe for the whole project whereby each component, each phase is not necessarily that's done, we're done, see you laters. There's this ongoing mission to improve, review, update, and general keeping things going. I mean, I like to see that attitude where, okay, it's not done and dusted. If it needs improving or maturing, then it sounds like the project is dedicated to that attitude, which I think is brilliant. And of course, things that don't make the cut for different phases, for example, typography is still not there, which is annoying, but will always get picked up and move forward into the next phase and all that jazz. So all in all, official WordPress roadmap and release functionality for 2024 is looking pretty damn fine. Right, number 5 on my list for 2024. Can't really not talk about page builders. We take a look through the WordPress repo, we can see dozens of them. And I really believe that they've been contributing in the success, the upward trend of WordPress over the last 7 or 8 years. No question about that. And I remember being laughed at 7 or 8, 9 years ago when I saw page builders as being a real important component in WordPress, because if we're talking about democracy of website building, that's what page builders gives you. And lo and behold, 9 years later, WordPress itself has turned into a page builder. More on that in a second. But looking at these stats here again, you can see that 40% of all WordPress websites use some sort of page builder. That is insane. 40%. And most of them now are actually site builders. Not just, here's a page, put it in, they can do the whole thing, or certainly the bigger players. And there's, the main players are pretty, prolific, shall we say, Divi, Beaver Builder, Generate Press and Blocks, CProv, Visual Composer, WP Bakery, Site Origin, Original Old School, Breakdance, Brizzy, Bricks, Oxygen, Cadence, Stackable, Quickly, CrocoBlock, Spectra, Astra. I mean, and there's more. I mean, it's huge. And not forgetting the one page builder to rule them all, the one that tore the marketplace to pieces. It's Elementor, with now over 11 million active installs according to their own website here. And according to W3 Techs, and we probably saw this a bit earlier on, 22%, over a fifth of all WordPress sites use Elementor. Insane. I don't think there's too much of a contest as to which is the big pink elephant in the room. Elementor, huge. And I think, page builders aren't going away anytime soon. They will continue to grow, maybe not in the rapid way that we've seen in the last few years, but they'll evolve, they'll grow. I think the AI space, that's going to be big for page builders. You're already seeing that. But wait, isn't there a new kid on the block? Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, WordPress's very own page builder. Of course, it's the full site editor. Yep, it is true that it's still a little way off what could be deemed a finished product. And maybe it's not quite right for an absolute web newbie with no experience at all jumping on and immediately making a site with, but it's getting there. And with 6.4 and the 2024 theme, it really is now a viable choice. If you're a WP head proper, a serious site builder wanting to get into WordPress, a freelancer, or an agency, full site editing is a no-brainer for standard sites now. Period. Shortcomings, yes, but most of those can be fixed with a little bit of CSS, get under the hood a little bit, and I kind of like that. It's kind of fun, bit old school like me. And of course, then there's block-based plugins and frameworks, and all of that is evolving fast. That ecosystem is live and happening right now. So all in all, to wrap up the WordPress roadmap 2024, I think it's looking pretty epic. So the one you've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, my number one prediction for 2024 is there you go, I've said it. And here's why. It's a no-brainer now for standard sites. Once you're up to speed And once you're up to speed, the experience is amazing. So let's get up to speed right now. Click on this video for a full tour of WordPress full site editing, block theming, and a review of the 2024 theme. But until next time, I shall see you later. Happy New Year.